Hello, all you beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling, geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's our resident donkey of the pod, DL. How are you, mate?
Good, man. That's a very offensive term in Ape land.
Well, it depends. Is it branded on you?
I don't think it needs to be. It's literally short. It's like a euphemism for ass.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and also, you're carrying people's shit around all the time.
Yeah.
Emotional baggage.
Yeah,
DL.
that's true. That's
mostly
true.
mine. I'm always like,
yeah.
Please save me.
Metaphysical.
How are you, mate? What's
I'm
happening?
good, man. It's early, tired, but
It's
we'll
so
survive.
fucking early.
We'll survive.
Peek behind the curtain of the podcast once again. I feel like last time we did 2 days in a row, perhaps.
Yeah.
And then now we're doing it at like 7 a.m.
I'm not making it easy on you.
No, you're really not.
Yeah.
I think we might have a friend of the show jumping into one of our upcoming episodes. I know you yourself specifically weren't that thrilled by the idea of talking about Madame Web. So
Yeah.
strong potential friend of the show.
I mean, like, honestly, more in hindsight, like, it's probably one of the better bad Marvel Universe's movies that I would want to watch.
I don't think so.
Like,
I'd rather
watch that than say the
Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah, Kraven the Hunter with Aaron Taylor-Johnson for sure.
He does Taylor Johnson very well, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I've seen some reviews and they all make it sound like it's just fucking weird.
It's not going to be good.
No,
but
not
at least it's Sydney Sweeney.
Not as good as Dakota Something's dress at the premiere, which
Dakota Fanning?
It was literally
the other
see-through.
chick, yeah.
Completely see-through.
Good for her.
I think it was supposed to be webbed.
You reckon that
quotation
they're just like sex appeal it up, guys? We know this movie's shit. We need to build some like.
I tell you what's very interesting. So when the movie got announced, and I found this out from a different podcast, when the movie got announced, all of the stars in it, including Sydney Sweeney, including Dakota Johnson Fanning, whichever it is, they put out a tweet or a post being like, "Can't wait to be in this movie" type thing. But they all put like Marvel Studios in it, so like not Sony, not the one it's actually attached to. I think they all thought they were going to be in an MCU movie.
They just like thought because they still
just didn't ask the question.
No, like, that'd be shocking. Right. No, I think it's probably just like the legality of it wasn't probably figured out between them. They're like, it probably could be Marvel, but we'll see. And then they just like didn't get a rev share.
No, I
remember there was
I don't think so.
Spider-Man shit going on where they were negotiating the next Spider-Man, and
that was specifically Spider-Man. If you
this is the universe.
If you look at Venom and you look at Morbius, I think they're whoever they are, I don't know, their handlers, whatever they are, or their. What's Ari Gold? What's his role in
the agent?
No,
my point is maybe they were hopeful.
I think their agents were just like, yeah, it's a Marvel movie.
I mean, that'd be pretty easy to fact check. I mean, it technically is.
I mean, like if you Dakota Johnson Fanning, whichever she is, Janning Fonson, whichever it is. Whichever one it is, they like. Why would you want? Like, you're not going to go on Google. You're just going to trust what people are telling you. You're going to be like, yeah, cool. I'm going to be in the MCU.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's like big enough now, the MCU, that people wouldn't. You should know.
I don't know. I feel like some of these actors, like if you ask Daniel Day-Lewis what the MCU is,
yeah, but
he'd look at you like
he wouldn't.
Is that an STI?
He wouldn't do a Spider-Man either. Like, yeah.
Imagine him as like Uncle Ben.
In character, just dying
every time. Yeah. Oh, mate, what have you been up to? I feel like we've gone. Friend of the show might be joining. Short version of that conversation. Yeah. What's been happening? You've been in WA.
I have been. We did a little RV trip around.
Where did you go in WA?
We started in Perth. We did the Perth, the Rottnest Island, which is like the famous. Quokkas? It's actually quite like beautiful. It's basically like all of WA in a day.
Yeah,
like the beaches there.
Cycle around it.
Yeah, and the beach you get cycle. You can see some animals, the quokkas, which are like whatever. But it's like quite stunning.
Well, hang on, take a step back. Quokkas, whatever. Quokkas are the best.
I mean, it's just like a weird little. How did this animal survive? It's
so cute though.
I'm just like, this doesn't make any evolutionary sense. Like,
no, they don't have any predators. We've talked about this on the show before, definitely. Yeah. They don't have any predators, so they're just like, Harvey Weinstein's not there either. So.
Yeah.
God, this got dark really early.
Why are you going there?
I don't know, my brain's like, it's very early.
So the poor quokka being assaulted by Harvey Weinstein's alien penis, like what?
All the nonsense which my brain stores up for the day is apparently coming out early on in the daytime, which isn't, helpful to anyone involved.
So yeah, no,
but it was great, right?
It was good, and then we did like driving around from Perth to Esperance and back up. Nice. So it was like beautiful stars, beaches, all that stuff. Beautiful. Bad food because our fridge broke, so we had to use an esky. So most of the time we were eating like cup of noodles and shit.
Oh,
like and like if you're in the middle of WA, there's no servo. You're like, we have to have something to eat just in case we stop in this random place. So we had that a couple nights, but it was good. It was really a different kind of holiday for sure.
Did you eat like salami and stuff? Did you have like constantly dried meat?
No, we did.
Gail would love that. Just constantly dried meats, nothing else.
She would, but
maybe some cheese.
But I also like stopped that in its tracks. No, we did a cup of noodles, and then we did like, I'd cooked up some steaks and stuff.
Good for the dad bod.
We didn't eat that much, but what we ate was probably unhealthy. So it's kind of like calorie count down, veins clogged.
Swings and roundabouts.
Whatever you want to call. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right?
How about you?
Oh, man. I had a weird couple of weeks. So you left.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to tell this story really quickly, but because it's so random and no one needs to hear this, but like, I think you deserve to know. I woke up, so I think we recorded on the Thursday.
Yes.
We did Wednesday, Thursday, I think. And on the Friday, I woke up and I went to the gym. I did my usual thing. And I was like, oh, my elbow kind of hurts. That's weird. I felt like, when you knock it on something and it just kind of hurts a bit. I was like, oh, that's weird. By 9 o'clock, I was like, oh, man, that really hurts. So I was sitting in meetings. I thought, oh, put some ice on it. Did some ice. Ice didn't help. Did some heat. Heat didn't help. And then I looked down and it was like swollen. Yeah. I was like, whoa, what's happening here? So I sort of like carried on with it. I luckily had a physio appointment that day. So I went and I was like, do you have any idea what this is? Apparently, it's a thing called olecranon bursitis. And my entire elbow had become infected. Of all places, my elbow. So it was an infection. So it's like what it is it's the fluid sac in it effectively leaks out and that can get infected. Oh. I think that's exactly what it is. Please tell me if I'm wrong, friends of the show. I have no idea if I'm saying this right. Yeah. Long story short, it's weird. So it really hurts. I could barely move my arm other than this kind of motion. Yeah. Which that's a very visual thing to say. I could basically hold my arm across my chest and move it up and down very slightly in a motion that Dre's very aptly showing off here.
So you still could.
Clearly very good at. You've a lot of practice at that.
So you still could,
it was my left arm.
Do the deed.
It was my left arm, so I didn't need to. Short version of the story is, it was like a week of just having this weird... I'll tell you what it felt like. Yeah. And I've got no other way of explaining this. It felt like what I assume having a boob feels like, just on my elbow. It was sort of like, it's just kind of hanging there. Just like, if my arm moved too fast, it kind of wobbled around. It was like inconvenient at all the worst times.
Yeah, because you can't put your arm anywhere. Right? Yeah. So did you have to take like a... I
was on antibiotics like a week. Yeah. So my skin looks great. But it was really odd. And I'm blaming you because you came over that day and it must be something you did.
Yeah, I guess. For sure. So you have no idea how it happened.
No, I thought it might be like a spider bite. So
that's what anyone outside. Then I got like staph and I had to like fucking properly get like like a 10-inch thing in my like needle in my butt of penicillin or something.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And it was just like, bro, you had to stop. There's two kinds. It's not as bad kind, but if I hadn't, I could have like lost my finger.
Well, the doctor was literally like, if it doesn't go down in a couple of days, you got to come back because we're gonna have to like drain it and stuff. Yeah. Look, you guys don't need to know this. We appreciate you listening to us ramble. If you want to stick around and listen to us talk about our weeks and about the things we've been up to, feel free. There will be time codes in the description, as always, shared by friend of the show and editing master, Mr. Matthew Bliss. But DL, on a scale of 1 to really, 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 really messed up, how many stars do you think that story should get us for this podcast?
5 degrees of swollen, 5 stars.
There you go. I got it. We do normally talk about movies and things. This has gone way off topic. If this is anyone's first time listening to the podcast, this is so not in our wheel. I wasn't going to talk about my elbow. I was going to ask you if you'd seen the Deadpool trailer, but then it just came out.
Yeah, it is a bit out there. I did see the Deadpool trailer. It was good.
What do you think?
It was funny.
Good it choked you?
We don't even know. We don't know what the story's going to be. Well, we kind of do, but we don't know why Wolverine's there.
Why it's now called Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, but look, it looks like it's going to be fun. And they're going to combine. I think they're going to combine it in a way that they don't have to commit, which is good.
Which is great. And it looks like a different TVA, interestingly, to the Loki one.
Yes.
And the other thing that's interesting is it looks like there are different variations of Wolverine in it from the comics. So there's one when he's walking up behind him and he's at like a poker table. That's a very specific look of Wolverine that isn't maybe the one you'd expect it to be. And then there's a big scrap between them and I can't wait to see the big scrap. Do you reckon they'll just fight for like a minute then they'll be mates?
I don't know. I think that it'll probably digress into humor quickly. Where like he's super serious and angry. And,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Deadpool
can't stop winking at the camera.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love it. I love the wig he had on in the beginning as well.
It's so bad.
It was so bad.
It's so bad. I just think this is a comedy. It'd be awesome if it was like in the MCU broadly, but the comedy is different.
I think it's going to set up Secret Wars. This was sent to us by a bunch of friends of the show. Thank you all. Thank you, friend of the show, Jacob, Matt, all the ones who sent this over. One of the things that I was thinking while I was watching this was, it feels like they're just trying to force their way to Secret Wars as quickly as humanly possible so they can just reboot. They can just go, oh, Captain America's back, Iron Man's back, all the ones you love are back, they're just different people now. Because this is the first step to that, I think. And then they'll have the Fantastic Four movie, which now all the characters have been confirmed. It's definitely going to be Pedro Pascal.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't love the Pascal.
Yeah.
Unless that is also another Secret Wars thing where they'll just recast him at the end. But why get Pedro Pascal if you're going to recast him?
Yeah, I mean, they did the same thing with, what's his name?
Who?
Jim Halpert, the guy, the Boston guy. Yeah. John Krasinski or
John Krasinski. Well, he was just in it for... You cannot say his name.
It's too early.
It's like the Chris's.
John Krasinski. It's a weird name. Anyway, him, he's a big name. They wanted
he was a fan casting.
He was a cameo. My point being, like, I don't know that they should do that.
What,
why?
Recast?
No, just like rush towards something. Like,
I just think they realize it's diminishing returns and that the characters they've brought in aren't hitting any bells, right? No one's going, I can't wait for the next Doctor Strange movie. And no one's going, where's the next?
I would watch the next Doctor Strange. That's about the only one.
We're nerds. We like this stuff.
No, but everything else, I agree.
Regular folks who take a movie up to $1 billion, the people you need to get outside of the nerds, they're not going, oh, I can't wait to see, I don't know, the next Eternals film, You're not getting that.
I mean, yeah, because the movies are bad.
Yeah, well,
not because of the Eternal. So my point is, like, if you actually made good movies, like,
yes.
Well, who's to say that a new Captain America movie of the same thing we just saw is going to be any good?
Well, there is a new Captain America movie coming out, so we'll see how that goes.
Anyway,
apparently got Indiana Jones himself in it, which I can't. Oh, there's a thing I've been up to this week. I forgot to mention. I bought a bloody Xbox
just for this game. Is it out?
Really annoyingly, there was a big leak from Microsoft, and so I bought an Xbox 2 days before this leak came out because I want to play Indiana Jones. I want to play Starfield. It's a game that I'm currently playing. I'm going to talk about in a minute. It got leaked 2 days later that all that stuff is eventually just going to come to PlayStation. I'm really, really, really frustrated.
Oh my God, that's annoying.
I was like, luckily I got the Xbox super cheap. I got it like seconds, pre-owned, pre-loved, whatever they call it nowadays. Like, it wasn't expensive, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I need this anymore.
You had to know that they were going to do that, right? Because of all the antitrust stuff. Like, if they keep buying studios and then making it exclusive, like I think they might run into trouble. Not that I think it's fair, but I think that they might.
Yeah, they might.
So it was always kind of like, at the very least, it'll be PC.
Oh, they always come on PC, but they have to. Well, they own PC as well, obviously. So
Windows, yeah.
Funny that. I don't know. I just thought some of these, because they were saying they were exclusive, specifically the Indiana Jones one, and that made me really excited.
What was the leak? What did it say? Why are they making it?
I honestly don't know. I'm just assuming it's money. Like, think about how much extra cash you could make.
That's what I'm saying. There's really no reason for them not to do it.
Right? Like, they were talking about making Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive, but why? They make so much money. Yeah. And apparently there's a report that came out this week that PlayStation has outsold Xbox 2-1. This iteration of them, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS, whatever it is. XS. There's no room for XS anything.
Yeah, that's interesting. So does Microsoft just eventually take over the production software reoccurring game, like the Netflix stuff, and then PlayStation's basically the hardware?
Could be it. Who knows?
Because, like, why would you stay in that game?
Well, I guess they must make some money from selling the game.
Well, I guess they also need to be able to have some reason for people to go, like, use theirs instead of PlayStation's at some point. Like, they need the leverage that they could be in the market.
Yeah, the thing that's really wigged me out about having an Xbox is that the controllers still need batteries.
Really?
Even now, in 2024, you still have to
buy a rechargeable one.
Yeah, you could. No, you can buy rechargeable batteries, but they come with a remote which needs AA batteries. In 2024, like, grow up, Xbox. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Come on, Microsoft. Help us out a little bit.
Because I was going to say, I always had the rechargeable ones, but...
Yeah, right.
Because obviously, if that's the
option. Why wouldn't you? It arrived, and I was trying to play it, and I was like, why isn't this turning on? Like, I've been charging it all day, and then I was like, holy shit, there is literally a hole.
It's like, you're like, it's empty.
I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, that sucks.
What have you been up to, buddy? What's been happening? Oh, did your brother ever watch the Percy Jackson TV show? Did you ever find out?
He said he watched it. He said, like, yeah, it's okay for Disney.
Yeah,
Like,
right, okay.
He's like, it's all right for like they've done well. They didn't fuck up the story, but it is like it is what it is for this IP.
Yeah,
like,
right. Okay,
that's what he said.
It's like I say in my video. It's more, check us out on YouTube. We are Podcast Assemble. It's more like age appropriate. They seem like they act like teenagers for the most part. They have their little stories going on. I didn't mind it.
Their angst, their teenage.
There's
angst.
a little bit of angst. It's just enough.
Emo angst. Okay. What have I been up to? I actually tried to finish Halo season 1 because season 2 came out. It is so bad.
I think I watched 2 episodes. Episodes.
Dude, it is so bad.
Yeah.
Like there's like, I just don't understand how you could butcher something so bad that's already good. Like why?
Yeah.
Like why change an IP so much when you know you have good story?
Yeah, right.
You have fans loyal to it. And good story usually means more people like it. Instead, it just makes no sense. Anyway, I heard that it picks up in like the last 2 episodes, and I'm like, how could it?
They've changed so much of it already.
Yeah, I'm like at episode 7, I'm like, how could it? Like they've changed so much in such ways that are so anti the actual canon. Yeah, that right. I'm like,
when the first episode,
the core of it, like
in the first episode, Old Mate takes his helmet off, and it's
that,
like,
I don't even care about that.
But like, I get your literally point. Immediately, if you're trying to piss off fans, that's what you do.
I think that's the statement they're making.
Yeah, right.
But like, it's not.
This ain't your grandpappy's Halo.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even that. It's like they've made him like an emo little bitch.
Yeah,
and he's like a fucking super soldier, like.
Cold
to the mission, cold motherfucker. Like, and it's like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, what is this?
I don't want this like psychological couch season of why he's like super scarred by what he is. Like, get there eventually. I don't even know what he is yet.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do that in like 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's shocking. It's so bad.
I didn't carry on with it.
But apparently the season 2, they got one of the guys that wrote the books, which were quite good if I remember as a kid. And so I'm just, as a fan, I'm going to watch this just to know what not to do if you ever adapt something.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You know what I mean? I want to see like, okay, this is like how you really terribly
Are we talking about when we're going to be directors together in the future?
And just as a fan.
I mean, of course. Absolutely.
Like, it's fun.
What you should do is when you finally publish whatever book it is that you get to first, you should make sure that you have the rights.
Very kind of you.
You should make sure you have the rights to any distribution of it or creation of any media from it, so that you have to at least be an executive producer.
Of course, man.
Of course,
that's the goal.
Because that's the sway you have when you publish your first book, obviously. Yeah. And a big studio comes in and asks for it.
The reality is though, this is going to be a shitty show.
Okay,
I'm almost positive.
Good to know.
Yeah, don't watch. I have 4 days left of my Paramount Plus. Because I canceled it.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, all right, I'll just like
something had to give.
I'll like this will be the last thing, and that's why.
Yeah,
like,
I can see that.
Yeah,
good work on you. I feel like what scares me a little bit about the book series that you're in love with at the moment, the Red Sun or whatever it's called.
I think it'll be very hard to adapt.
Right, and I feel like this is what I'm expecting. This what's it called?
Red
Rising. I feel like this is what I'm expecting from an adaptation of that. I just don't have high hopes for an adaptation. If that's what you get,
then it's like a really big bummer.
Yeah, right. Because so much of it's in his head as well, Like,
well, that's like all books, though.
No, I get that, but
like, it is adaptable. There's enough there in character and world. I just think you need to be like, it needs the Game of Thrones treatment where like you don't have a big budget for the first couple seasons and you still make it good. You make it about the characters and about the world. There was like one big war episode in that entire first season where they basically skipped the war.
Well, the idea was that they weren't going to do any wars, so they could do it on a budget. So interestingly, those guys, Benioff and Weiss, speaking of,
I think they'd be good for this.
They have a new series coming out on Netflix in March this year, March 21, and it's called 3 Body Problem.
It's pretty famous.
Apparently it's awesome.
Yeah.
So, but this also is a complete series, so they might actually not fuck it up.
Well, that's what I was like. I was texting the boys about that because like they were like, "Oh, these guys are back," and I'm like, "Yeah, but like they did a good job when they had source material."
Yeah, right.
And these are the guys that also did like other stuff, like, and they've done Troy, or he did Troy.
Oh, really?
Which like is kind of like of the ilk of Red Rising in the sense of like the mythology. He's very into that.
Okay.
So I actually thought they would be good.
Who's
for this.
Benioff?
Benioff, and well, both of them, but Benioff in particular did Troy.
Benioff and all Weiss.
DB.
Couple of Game of Thrones alumni in this, by the way.
Yeah.
Old mate John Bradley, who is Samwell Tarly, is in this. Who's the dude who has his fingers cut off? I've forgotten his name in Game of Thrones.
Oh,
he's Stannis' main dude.
Yeah,
he's in it too. I love that guy actually. He's a great actor.
Someone with a D. isn't it?
Loves the D.
Davos.
Davros. That's wrong. That's from Doctor Who. Davos is correct. Yeah. And there's a couple of others. I think one of them. Oh, Benedict Wong's in that as well in the new one. So cast's looking pretty fun.
No, it'll be probably. I mean, it's a really good series. I've heard.
Yeah, okay.
Many people have told me to read it.
I'm excited to give that a go because I feel like those guys with a complete story could do something excellent.
Yeah. I want them to do the Red Rising one, but I'm crazy.
That'd be interesting. But he needs to finish it first. Let him finish.
He's got one left.
Let him finish the books.
I think he could pull this off. I think they could pull this off. I think they know how to do this.
I think with the final book they might. Well, let's wait and see what Three Body Problem is. I did a fun thing this week that I think you'll really like, and it might be coming into one of our many, many anthologies at some point. One we came up with while we were doing our awards for this year, which was movies that slipped under the radar that we should have watched.
Yes. And
I watched Renfield. Now, I don't know.
It's still on my list. I don't save it for my flight today.
Right. Okay, cool. I don't know if you remember this, but it's it's Nicolas Cage. What's the guy's name?
Nick Holt.
Nick Holt.
Yeah.
Nick Holt's in it as the titular Renfield, and it's actually set in the modern day.
Yeah.
And it's a bit weird. Like, I'm not saying it's not weird.
It's gonna be weird.
It's short, it's pithy, and it's just different. I really enjoyed it in like a weird way. Like I'm really this is a podcast, so words are the main thing to do here. But I'm struggling to put words to exactly what it is because it's gory. It has some pretty messed up action beats in it.
Yeah.
He himself gets the shit kicked out of him a lot. There's some like weird body horror in there, kind of like the thing with Dracula when he gets like hit by sun rays. It's in, and I tell you what, Nick Cage is 100% Nick Cage in this as well.
Yeah,
like,
I think that this movie exists because
Nick
he wanted it.
Yeah. It's fun. Like, I enjoyed it a lot. It's not one to watch with the partner. I can be quite clear on that.
Okay.
I watched it while the partner was out at yoga.
Just because it's so gruesome.
Yeah, and also it's weird, and you know what Nick Cage's like. Yeah. I mean, excuse the pun, but he's fully got his teeth into this role, and he's had to be done.
Yeah.
It's good. I think you'll enjoy it. I'm not sure how we're going to go about in terms of breaking it down as some sort on like a podcast, because it is just a lot of things. So
okay, you said a lot there without a lot. I'm glad you didn't spoil anything. But
I'm trying not to spoil anything because I know you want to watch it too.
Yeah, I do.
I like Nick Holt in it. I think he's good. I don't love Nick Holt as an actor. There's something about him.
There's not enough of him for me to make a call, to be honest.
He's in a lot of stuff. He's in more stuff than you'd think.
No, he's in a lot of stuff. I just don't see it.
Yeah, okay. Well, Mad Max was pretty good, but he's like a peripheral character.
He's barely in that.
He was in the X-Men movies. They were all shit.
Wasn't he Beast?
Yeah, he's fine. I just don't think he's got that star power. Do you know what I mean?
I think
he's going to be Lex Luthor in the new Superman film.
Oh, is he? Yeah. I think he doesn't choose roles that would actually give him a bigger profile, or highlight his. He's trying to be a star, and it's really like he actually could be more of like a comedy, like indie that gets big style.
Yeah,
actor.
I really just don't know where he would land. Like, he feels like he's trying to do the sort of Gosling, Gyllenhaal thing, but he's not trying everything.
I don't think he's that, like,
nothing's really stuck. I
don't think he's got that much star power to be like he needs to go out a different way. Like, I think he's more likely to be like an Adam Driver. He's not as good at acting, but like that guy went HBO, weird indies, and then like just good movies, and eventually became big. Yeah.
Well, like Aquafina's in this, and you know what she is? She's just comedy. She's just. I find her a bit annoying usually.
Yeah.
Quite liked her in this though, like different. And it needed a Nick Cage. It really did. It needed the star power. Yeah. Did you know Nick Cage is the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola?
No, but there's a bunch of like weird Francis Ford Coppola connections. Well, he's just like a Hollywood octopus that like everything.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, you must have had plenty of Hollywood octopus. That's fucking grim.
Yeah.
Apparently, when Nick Cage started in Hollywood, he was using Nick Coppola as his name. And it was actually stopping him getting work. So like he would get work, and
people changed it to Cage.
People would just like spout Coppola movie lines at him, like just be shouting on set, and he hated it, and it was actually like holding him back in some respects. So he decided Cage was
of all things.
Well, actually, interestingly, and like I don't know why I know this. This is in my brain for some reason, and this is what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
He based it off the Marvel comic book character Luke Cage, who had a Netflix show at the same time Daredevil was on. Massive black guy who's bulletproof effectively. The show's actually really good, deals with a lot of interesting sort of black on black problems. It's really, really interesting in parts without being, it gets a bit dull at times too. But interesting that he went for a comic book character who he loved as a kid. Nicolas Cage.
Fair enough. I mean,
Nicholas Coppola, should I say.
It plays.
Yeah.
His name plays for the movies he selected.
I recommend Redfall to you. Okay. I feel like watch the trailer, and if it doesn't look like your thing, don't watch it because it's not going to be.
Okay. Yeah, I don't recommend Halo. That wasn't clear. What else have I done? Dude, I've been, basically, I've been reading. I've been trucking through that series that you see.
Of course.
Why do you hate it so?
I don't hate it. I just haven't had time to read it.
You're so neg.
It's so neg. I just love the fact that you love it so much.
So I got through
you are so wrapped up in it.
I got through one of the dopest chapters
that
ever.
new tattoo on your shoulder of one of the paragraphs is really sweet. I
had a dream that I got a tattoo last night.
Oh my god. Of a quote from this book.
And it was like something, if I can be honest,
Say it.
I don't know if my brother listens to this. It was like the same tattoo as my brother got, which I like one of his. I don't.
Here we go.
And then I was like,
it's all coming out.
I was
now.
like, how did this happen? Like what? And then I woke up. Like literally, my alarm went off, and I was like, I didn't get closure on my tattoo. That was exactly like my brother's. Anyway,
you have to send this episode to your brother. Yeah. Now.
The point I'm making is, it was like, this is the new series is very, very inspired by Game of Thrones. You can kind of tell.
Really.
Like the way he's doing all of it is, but like he's definitely inspired by it. And it's slower to start because they had to basically reset, 10-year gap, whole series. But I'm at the halfway point and it's kicking off. This is Iron Gold. It's starting to get like pretty good again. And
this is the second trilogy.
The first book in the second trilogy.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And it's apparently this is like the hardest one to get through, but it's really good still and basically sets up a pretty epic couple 3 books after. So
okay, well, come back to me when you finished it. I'm intrigued to know.
It's hard to talk about books because I don't want to spoil anything for you.
By the time we see each other next in like 3 weeks time, whatever, you'll have probably finished all of them.
10 days, but yeah,
it's a long time.
Yeah,
I won't have seen you for a little while.
I'm definitely bringing.
It's hurting me in here.
I'm definitely bringing the next one. I'm halfway through this one, so I'm bringing the next one.
So I keep doing this. The one book that I've told you about, the something Throne of Glass. I keep going to myself, I'll just read one more chapter and give it one more opportunity. And I read it and I'm like, this isn't terrible. Like, I'm at the point where it should be kicking, like the story should be kicking off. So have I. That's what's annoying me. I'm like, when does this get good? So effectively it's about an assassin. She was in this hectic, like, sort of allegory for like one of the Nazi camps. And she gets brought into, as a mine. It's a mine in this, but she gets brought into the conquering king's son's
retinue.
Yeah, she gets put into this competition to try and be the king's servant effectively, or like his dagger. So like the version of the story is like they have to go through all these trials and they've built up all the characters who are going to be in the trials. And I'm like, this is going to be really interesting. And then it gets to like the first trial. I'm like, yes, finally the first trial. This might actually get good now. The first trial is like a fucking archery competition. And I'm like, I don't just do something cool. Like have them stab each other's eyes out. Like she's like this coiled like snake ready to pounce.
Yeah.
And every time you think she's gonna, it just lets you down.
I think that's what I've read about this book, that it gets like super long and drawn out and like basically Arya chapters of Game of Thrones, but forever.
Right? It's just too long. And like I don't love the chapters. And then it just flips halfway through to like someone else's perspective in a chapter. And I'm like, that's fine, but you're not setting this up very well. Like every 6th or 7th chapter, it'll like flick to someone else's perspective for like 4 pages. And I'm like, what? Why is this happening? I'm so confused.
Yeah.
So my brain's a bit out on it. I'm going to, I'm probably going to try and finish it whenever I get 5 minutes to myself because I just want to get it done. I want to get through it and be able to say, no, it's shit, I don't recommend it, or yes, I do.
Yeah,
know?
Totally.
But anyway, the other thing I was doing, which I was actually meant to talk to you about, was, I told you I bought the Xbox.
Yes.
One of the reasons I bought the Xbox was because the internet has been ablaze with talk of this game. So this game is called Pal World. I don't know if you've heard of it. Have you?
No. I've been in an RV under a rock, apparently. Right.
It is the zeitgeist right now in the gaming community. Pal World. So what it is. So put it. All right.
Sounds so fucking lame.
If you just grab like a bunch of big video game mechanics and sort of like club them together. So we're talking, it's got a bit of Fortnite in there. Yeah. It's got a bit of survival game in there. It literally has their take on Pokemon in there. It is madness. So it's been like the tagline for it, the unofficial tagline is effectively Pokemon with guns. because you can build these guys up and get them guns and shit. It is the weirdest game, but for some reason, I'm sinking hours and hours into this.
Xbox?
Yes, it is on Xbox, yeah, and it's Xbox and PC right now. And it's really frustrating, but in a way that seems like the satisfaction loop is really long. Yeah. Like, it takes ages to get any satisfaction, but as soon as you get it, you're like, oh yeah, I can spend that amount of time again building a new base for no reason.
Oh man,
it's real. Like, I don't know why, but I'm enjoying it.
I get those games. I try and stay away from games like that because
me too.
Hours into it.
Me too.
Like the next game I play will probably be Alan Wake, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? I like Pokemon. Like that's my childhood.
No, everybody played Pokemon.
It makes sense that this thing, which is kind of like an evolution of that,
adult Pokemon.
More so. Adult Pokemon sounds like...
I was going to say, you're a bit weird, but...
It sounds like a weird
club.
You're like,
exactly.
Yeah. Like a weird club that I don't think I ever want to go near.
You already are. I've seen your search history.
I would absolutely recommend Palworld if you like any of those mechanics that I just mentioned. If you if you can't deal with survival mechanics, like, you need to get a torch in the first, hour of playing, otherwise your guy just dies at nighttime.
Oh god.
And I actually changed the settings because one of the settings is literally that if you die at any point, you lose everything. So not like a Souls-like game where you would lose the XP you've built up. Everything. So you lose your weapons, you lose everything you're holding.
That's the default setting?
Right?
This is like an old school game.
Well, it's more just to make it harder.
Well, that's like an old school thing, like that for sure. Games aren't like that anymore. Usually.
So I changed that. I was literally I don't have the time or energy or desire to do that. So I just changed it so I don't lose anything. I'm like, I don't care. I just want to catch fun Pokemon looking things and run on.
Yeah,
it's good. I recommend. But definitely change the settings when you start because fuck me, that would be so frustrating. I don't think I'll be playing
that one, but I appreciate the concept and the zeitgeist. And
the partner was not happy that I bought another console. We've now got PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S, and the Switch.
I mean, that's what I've always had.
Right?
Actually, I don't have the new Xbox. I have the old one.
Yeah, okay. It's good. It's actually quite small. Like, it's smaller than the OG ones. It's probably yay big.
Yeah. What you say? Like, you can't literally play. The thing is, it's more like it's just the expense because it's like a new console doesn't mean you're going to play more.
No.
You know what I mean? It's more just you have more variety in what you get to play.
Well, interestingly, so I'm only using it for games on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So if I'm not actively buying games, unless when Indiana Jones comes out, I'll probably buy that.
Yeah.
Because it's just the one that's digital only, so you can just download stuff. So I'm only getting out of it as much as I put in effectively. So you pay the $15, whatever it is a month for Game Pass. And then outside of that, I'm not spending extra money. So that's it. And as soon as I get sick of playing Starfield or I get sick of playing Palworld, I'll just kill it until I need it again.
Have you bought Starfield?
It's on Game Pass.
Are you? Oh, so you're gonna play Starfield?
I've just got it.
Interesting because it's got mid reviews, but then people love it.
Right? Isn't that so
strange? I'm sure
strange?
It will be fun. I think it just sounds like it's really grindy at the start.
Sounds a bit like Dead Man's Sky, as in they needed to spend another year working on it,
and they just couldn't.
They had to put it out.
Yeah.
So guys, look, we've been gibbering about things that we've been doing, but if you've been up to anything, let us know. Hit us up at podcastassemble or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com or find us at www.podcastassemble.com. That's where you can find all of our contacts. And I think our new tagline is send us memes, news, and reviews.
There you go.
We're doing
memes, news, and reviews.
Bish, bash, bosh. Send us memes, man. I love it when people send us memes. A bunch of people sent us all the stuff from the Super Bowl this week. One thing that we're about to talk about that a lot of people sent us because based off our current trilogy, anthology, whatever it is.
It is a trilogy.
We're finishing it off, baby. They sent us the trailer to Kingdom for the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
And we are doing the prelude to that today.
It's the main topic theme.
Do you want to preface our main topic?
Yeah, this time it is not the dawn. It is not the rise.
They're not rising at dawn.
Anything other than the war.
Which is rise first, DL. Don't forget. Rise first, dawn second.
Yeah, of course. And war third. War of the Planet of the Apes.
We're here, baby. We made it.
Yeah, a movie that I'm not sure needed to exist, but
no. Well, we'll talk.
Kind of feels like a duology. They added They're like, we need to be.
I like how. Right, we're going to talk about that. Do you have a stupid plot summary for this?
I do. Cool guys don't look at explosions. Ape edition.
Mine's a bit different. Mine's just like, whoa. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. while I'm doing the ape strong thing.
That's a bit racist what you just did.
No, I was doing an ape impression. What's racist about that? Don't give me that shit. This is again from director Matt Reeves. Who, I don't know if I can't do the Caesar voice particularly well.
He's just not a good.
He does his best Batman impression in this.
Yeah, he's
again, Matt Reeves doing this. He did the Batman as we talked about. I really like Matt Reeves. I think he's got like a visual style or visual flair.
Yeah,
which really grabs me.
I agree.
Andy Serkis is back. Woody Harrelson's new to this. I really liked that Woody Harrelson character. We'll talk about it in a minute. Steve Zahn played Bad Ape. We're going to talk about him.
Bad Ape.
Maurice is back, baby. I didn't realize Maurice was played by a lady, Karen Conoval.
Neither did I.
I did not and I saw the CGI. I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. I was watching a bit of behind the scenes because the expressive features, it mapped, like the way it mapped to the face. I know it's wet, of course, it's going to be amazing, but it was great. A couple of others to quickly call out. Nova, who is in this, who is a human character. Amaya Miller, I think we'll talk a little bit about her. It's a cool cast.
Yeah.
I think I like it.
It is a cool cast. You missed the most intriguing one, though.
Which was?
Cornelius.
Oh, Cornelius. Well, I was holding off saying Cornelius.
Okay, we can wait.
Because we are bringing back one of our favorite sections, which we don't do every week, but we do as regular as we can, which is goofy IMDb pictures.
Okay, so you're using Cornelius.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
And I said this to Dre last night because I was looking for a goofy IMDb picture. Our current MVP, by the way, is William Fichtner, who is the bank manager from The Dark Knight. Go look him up. The reason we do goofy IMDb picture, it's not to make fun of people's faces. It's not to, it's not to cast aspersions at people's what people look like. It is literally to be like, this is your entry point for some people to find you on the internet, IMDb. Yeah. Why on earth is this your most public picture? And
100%.
William Fichtner, he has this really random picture. Thank you, friend of the show, Reeks, for bringing this to our attention. Where he's effectively sucking a lemon. It's really weird. He's got like a really strange facial position. So the challenger this week, as you so rightly brought up, is Cornelius from this movie. Now, I sent you this over text because I was baffled. Yeah, I was baffled when I saw the IMDb profile of Devon Dalton, who is Cornelius, which is Caesar's tiniest son.
Little baby.
He's a little baby, right? And it turns out that Devon Dalton is not only kind of gorgeous, but also effectively do you reckon she's a bodybuilder? She's like massive.
She's like obviously a female fitness model or something.
She is. And her IMDb picture, it's not particularly goofy. It's more about this role is her quite, I don't know, man. It's quite
it's erotic.
It's an erotic picture. It's black and white. It's got a lot of erotic things about it. And I was like, this is supposed to be a child.
Tommy sends this to me and he says, why is Cornelius voiced by a female bodybuilder? And it sends the IMDb, but it like shows the thumbnail.
It's just the
and
picture.
I'm literally texting you and Gail's like right over my shoulder. And it's just this image, which is like very much like a racy shot.
It's so racy.
And she's like, what's going on? I was like, see that little ape? Because we were watching the movie. Like, that's that little ape.
I don't know if this is a real challenger for goofy IMDb picture. It's not really wheelhouse.
I like this one though.
But I just think it's so random.
It is random.
Because I looked at her IMDb and she's not been a huge amount of other things.
No.
There's a couple of other roles weirdly where she's doing like the CG, like the whole body piece. But I was just so confused when I saw it.
Yeah, I mean I can understand why, because there's a very two conflicting like if you're watching Cornelius, the little cute ape, and you see that,
big time.
There's I know which one is more threatening.
Yeah. Right.
And I know which one is also more
I don't know, actually. Her thighs are pretty threatening.
That's what I'm saying.
She could crush my head quite easily, I'm pretty sure. So which is, for you, DL, the goofiest of those two IMDb pictures?
I mean, I can't compromise the sanctity of the IMDb competition.
It's completely fair.
As much as I would like to vote for Devon Dalton, because, I mean, it's a stunning photo. Let's be honest.
It's maybe in a slightly different range of goofiness for IMDb.
It's a goofy it's a goofy cast.
It's goofy cast.
I think it's in it.
She does a great job in it.
Yeah, no, and honestly, she does do well. He's great. Little Cornelius, but I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go with the reigning champion.
Keep the reigning champion.
Yeah, we gotta keep him in.
I'm trying to remember who the reigning champion was for a long time. Oh, man, I was trying to find the spirit of Goofy IMDb picture on my phone, which is, of course, Mr. Ray Bucktenica, who has been our I mean, he's the overlord of this, really, by now, isn't he? He's like a step above Goofy IMDb Pic.
He has to be. He's a god amongst men.
I feel like he's the final boss, like in a video game. When we have one who reigns for like 5 weeks, we played him off against Ray Buchtanica, and if they lose, they just get stricken from the books.
Yeah, 100%.
He takes their soul like Shang's son.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this movie then. Like, what fucking happens in this DL?
Not that much, actually.
Whoa,
yeah,
but it's a good fuck.
If I actually was going to summarize the plot, it's literally the same thing as last time. Human bad discover apes in their civilization. This time it wasn't accidental. They were proactively.
They were hunting them, weren't they?
They were hunting them. Battle.
Fight.
They fight each other. Apes try to flee and change the course of this. Humans continue to fight them.
For some reason.
And for like, what reason, I don't know, because the apes are obviously killing you and they're trying to leave you alone, leave them be.
Right?
But
they're really trying not to be dragged into this.
The big change is humans kind of like, it's not just apes hurting apes, the humans are hurting apes, and humans are also hurting the humans. There's a conflict within the humans, and that's really the core, and the apes are kind of caught in the middle, and that's really the core of the plot.
I don't think I missed anything. I think the thing I like about this is that the thing that simultaneously I like and brings this movie right down for me is that there's no Cobra in this.
Yeah.
And sort of, in a way, this is complete spoilers, by the way, so we're going to be talking about this whole film. In a way, the loss of Caesar's family turns him a little bit into that Cobra character, but he still has all the respect and all the love of all the apes. So you never see him 100% go down that route. He's still quite a stoic character. I feel like if you're going to have him as sort of the anti-antagonist of the piece,
they did it both ways.
You can't. Like, he has to go one way or the other, and then either be redeemed at the end, or fall because of it, because of his hubris.
Or there has to be a bigger cost that he wears, right? Which they didn't really. I mean, he had one guy die.
There's two or three, but then at the end, a bunch of them get killed.
Yeah. But point being, like, actually, the bare bones of this movie, like the things they were trying to do, I think there was some good.
Well, yeah, Woody Harrelson's gone crazy, right? Yeah. Woody Harrelson has a platoon of men. He's gone nuts, and his whole goal in life is to wipe out these apes because the virus, which we talked about in the last film, has mutated. And it's interestingly,
this is a really interesting.
This is the interesting part for me, and this is where my theories are coming into pass. The virus from the last movies, which were killing people originally, is now mutated and turning people into more ape-like, so they can't speak. Their functions don't work quite as well, so their hand-eye coordination and such. So they are effectively becoming the second species on the planet, and it's affecting more and more people. So, like I say, this is really makes me excited because my theory is that the way these movies were tracking is that by the end of this second trilogy, which is starting to come out this year with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, it is going to end with the Charlton Heston type character arriving back on Earth and having his "you blew it all to hell" moment, because this is the first step of that. So in those movies, the humans they can't speak, they have smaller brain capacity, they're the second class citizens, they're running around in the muck and stuff. And interestingly, we saw the first trailer for Kingdom just today. If anyone hasn't seen it, go check it out. It's literally that from the first movie, with the girl from The Witcher as the main human character, who's a bit more intelligent. Yeah, no, it seems like it's like they're telegraphing this in a way that you know. That's why I think there will be a twist on it. Like it won't be exactly the same, because it's like we'll see. But I think the general beats will be the same. But I don't know if we'll get like the guy from space all alone, with a bunch of apes. There's this kind of kissing apes.
There's got to be something. There's got to be something a bit different. Anyway, the point being, I think actually, I didn't enjoy this one as much as the other two.
Yeah, top level.
I don't know why fully. Yeah. I think it's because I'm not sure it justified that it needed to be made as well as the other ones.
It was a long ass movie. It was like 2.5.
It was too long, maybe
hours.
As well. Yeah. But like as we've talked about it, I think one of the big things they were trying to explore, to your point, is like we've seen. The complexity of like a human rise, right? Yep. Or the apes rise, and what the humans have to do, and like why they did it, and what it drove, and what you do once that happens. We've seen like the complexity of like leadership and the moral quandary of like my community versus yours, which was the second one, and then this one is like almost like, hey, now you're in the position, like you're going to be in the position of power. How do you handle it? Because that's like what I thought this movie was trying to tackle with the moral question of the humans are now being weakened, but they didn't. The apes were in a position of like victim the whole time. So it kind of like conflicted with what they were trying to do, I think, was like, hey, the humans are in power, but we're saying they're also weakening because of this virus, and the apes are the victims, so they're not really in a position to do anything other than protect themselves. So there's no real moral stakes because, of course, they're gonna fucking try and get out and fight. Like that was my high level. Yeah.
I feel like it was really interesting giving Caesar a bit of a Cobra turn.
Yeah,
like
they should have doubled down on that, though.
He went on this sort of like holy crusade. So the short version of the story is that old mate Woody Harrelson finds out where the apes live, kills his family, thinking he's killed Caesar, and then Caesar goes off on his own with a couple of lackeys in tow and tries to
take him out.
Like the thing that interests me about that is like his motto the whole movies has been apes strung together. And you can hear me doing this in the background.
Yeah,
my partner was doing this morning, which is hilarious. Which reminds me entirely of that Friends skit, you know, where the Joey one, where he's doing that, clicking his hands together. I was like, what are you doing? So the holy like crusade he goes on for personal vengeance, is like, I really like the idea of it. I didn't love the execution. It's that they're very isolated the whole time. That little crew, that their bickering personalities get a bit annoying. Just do what you got to do. And the thing that really confused me about this movie, and this could be just me sounding like an idiot, or I may be spaced out for a second.
Yeah.
But so they go one direction, leaving all of the apes to go a different direction to safety.
Yeah.
Correct. Right.
100%.
However, somehow along the way,
no, you're not wrong.
the apes, the bigger troop of apes, which are going a completely different direction, are captured by the Colonel's men and brought to the end point where Caesar's going, and somehow make it there before
it's a bit of a yada yada.
It's like
I agree.
What do we like?
There should have been some kind of like
the geography just baffles me.
And also they stumbled on them,
right?
Like there should have been some kind of plot point where there was a betrayal, or I feel like they basically set that up with the donkey storyline. I'm like, why didn't they use that as the mechanism for like making them be caught?
Yeah. Exactly. And I feel like the Snow character, who was one of the apes who had snowy hair, which I think is a bit racist, was
I thought it was cool.
That was a great way to be a bit like
albino
ape or gorilla. Use that as a way of, you know, that's how the Colonel's character finds everyone.
Look, I forgot that guy was in this movie,
right?
He was like for the first like 20 minutes
and then he dies halfway through. I feel like the logistics of the movie, and I know this is such a fucking nitpick, I'm sorry, I'm a nitpicker. The logistics of the movie didn't make sense to me in how one group got to there before Caesar did, and then I know Caesar went off into the snow and met Bad Ape, who, by the way, I did not like that character.
I didn't mind him. Bad Ape was fine.
It was like they're trying to infuse some sort of comedy that just didn't make sense in the
I understand why you
context
feel that way,
of the movie.
But there were parts about Bad Ape that I liked.
Which parts did you like? The
just
big jacket?
His stupid Gollum face.
Okay.
He had a bit of a Gollum vibe, but like dumber.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't love it. I found it very interesting, the parallels between Caesar and Woody Harrelson's character. Obviously, Woody Harrelson killed Caesar's family, but Woody Harrelson's family was killed by the simian flu. They're calling it this virus. And I kind of liked that it kept building towards a showdown between them that never really came about, which was equally frustrating. And also I kind of liked at the same time.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed all that. The one area that I was going to say they could have done more of, instead of like there's a lot of that around, like you said, the traveling, the repeating things, the betrayal twice, like the
Last of Us, just on a horse going somewhere.
They could have cut a lot of that and given us more of like the human on human conflict and like the story is then like the apes are just stuck in, like the tragically stuck in between, and they just need to move on because they're realizing humans destroy not just apes but each other.
Yeah,
because they haven't covered that.
Well,
they didn't cover that in the first two movies.
That was the big twist of the whole film.
It doesn't need to be a twist.
They couldn't have given it straight away if they wanted to have it as a twist.
I don't think it needs to be a twist.
Right.
I think you can like that can be a part of the build up. Like, what did we gain by having it be a twist?
I kind of like the twist personally.
But like, what did it service? Because we knew what was happening anyway. This guy was consolidating power. He is using the apes as he sees fit. He sees them as a threat.
Well, the twist is that we find out at the end of the film. We're jumping right ahead here. That there is this big looming threat, which is actually kind of helps push the pacing of the movie, because without it, it's meandering, it's too slow, it's too long. But you have this big threat that this army from the north is coming down, you think, to help the Colonel Woody Harrelson's team in eliminating the apes. But
that's true.
But it turns out that Woody Harrelson's character has actually just gone nuts and he's not obeying orders. He's just doing his own thing to try and wipe out the apes however he can. He is torturing them. He's crucifying them. He's gone just batshit crazy. And they're actually coming down to stop him. So what he's doing is he's using the apes to fortify his base so that when this army from the north gets there, they can't actually attack him.
I forgot that they basically knew about the army before.
Yeah, well, that's what's interesting.
That. Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was the thing that kept me interested. I was
that's
like,
fair.
It felt like he needed to get his family out, the apes out, Caesar, before they got there. And then that big twist, I was like, holy shit, that's actually pretty cool. I actually quite like the world building in this as well. I felt that like evolved from devolved from the last film quite a lot, however you want to look at it. It feels like the apes are now the dominant species, like in many ways. There's more, it feels like there's more of them. They just don't have as technologically sound weapons.
It didn't feel like that they were the more strong, like the stronger group still to me. I felt like they were victimized on the verge of extinction the whole time.
More harmonious, maybe.
Oh, for sure. That's different. But
yeah.
I feel like this next movie we're going to get is going to be like, okay, the apes are in power. Yeah.
Like I did like the idea of, them having almost a more sophisticated natural base than the humans. The humans did have obviously technology in their base, but it felt very cobbled together to me. It felt like rushed. And the fact that the apes were working with the humans was so interesting to me. I was like, there are these defectors, ones who maybe were scared Caesar might.
Yeah. You know what? The more we talk about this movie, I do like a lot of it. For some reason, I don't know why. I think that I think it
was just long and meandering.
I think it was just too long.
Yeah.
Like because the actual principal content is as significant and as worthy of a thing to go after and talk about.
Right.
But I just didn't like it as much.
But yet still, I think it was because
there's a lot of extra war stuff.
There was a lot of extra war stuff. There's a lot of Caesar just riding a horse
and through the
snow.
And this girl, a lot of attention to her where she really all that time focused on her, she did one thing of significance. So she didn't need a bunch of spotlight.
So my perception of the Nova character was that she was welcomed by the apes because they felt she was on a similar level to them, or at least where they were.
Yeah.
And she wanted to live harmoniously. So that was signifying to me what the apes would do with the humans if the humans could just get over their own hubris.
You're 100% correct. Yeah.
And that makes complete sense. And I like that as a juxtaposition to the Colonel, who's just, let's crucify them or whatever, but it just spent so much time.
There was a lot of time with her.
Bad Ape, why the fuck was Bad Ape in this so much?
To be fair, Bad Ape, I would say you could cut the meandering, you can cut some of the scenes of it's a simple concept. You're right.
Yeah.
You described it perfectly, but you don't need much more than she is. If humanity they're at their core, they're not this way.
Yeah.
Right. If this kid can join the group when she's shown kindness and then show kindness back in reception, that's all you need. And then the little doll thing that then eventually kills him, that's good.
I like that.
You can cut, but you get to cut her time 50% down. And Bad Ape, literally, when you put it into perspective, served no purpose.
None at all. He was supposed to be comedic values. It's nonsense.
Everything that he did, fucking Rocket could have done himself.
Right?
Yeah, you could have cut him completely.
And it's interesting you put that in that perspective, because when I'm thinking about the Woody Harrelson character specifically, I didn't love Woody Harrelson in that role. Let me explain this. I thought the character was great, the motivations were interesting, the juxtapositions built by the movie were fantastic, but Woody as that character just didn't click for me. I didn't feel him as the evil guy. He kind of felt a bit like Vince Vaughn in season 2 of True Detective, where the tone of the character didn't quite make sense. You could have had someone more menacing, and he did a good job of being menacing.
I actually liked him, but I take your point.
I think it was the character
Vince
was
Vaughn
well
thing
written.
is a bit harsh,
right?
I don't think he was that off, but yeah,
it didn't click for me for some reason. And it was him. Not saying there's anything bad about him or his performance or the writing. In fact, all of that was excellent. But just seeing him as that role, and he was totally trying to do the Apocalypse Now thing at the beginning.
That's what actually took me
out of it.
He is kind of like the Apocalypse Now character,
totally. And the thing that really took me out about it, and sorry, this is where I was meant to go with what you're saying before about the girl character showing compassion. The thing I found most interesting is there was a scene at the beginning where humans find the apes. The apes show compassion. They take their weapons but send them back to the troops and say, "Look, we want peace. Don't fuck around with us. We won't fuck around with you." And one of the guys is this dude who has a crossbow. And the dude with the crossbow owes Caesar his life. He seems to be someone we follow all the way through the movie.
Yeah, he's always around.
And
they really didn't want us to forget that.
Right? I was waiting the whole movie for him to remember that he owed Caesar his life and that he, the whole film. And it just never fucking happened. I was like, and then he got his comeuppance at the end, he gets exploded and whatnot. But it didn't, there was no arc there. There was no...
Yeah, there's a couple things where it's like, why did you do this if you're not going to pay it off?
Give us some payoff. Where's the Chekhov's gun?
Or it's kind of like in conflict with...
And he's technically the ones that kill Caesar at the end, right?
It's in conflict with like what they're saying with the kid. Or maybe it's like, maybe the point is like...
Maybe that's the point.
Who you're around matters. Like,
yeah, okay.
And maybe then that's the juxtaposition between him and the kid.
Yeah.
Both of them owe their life. And one of them was like, carte blanche. One's young, one's older and influenced by a fucking maniac.
That is a thing as well.
Yeah.
That whole troop is full of fucking maniacs, which I like the idea of. Caesar's Moses in this, right?
No women.
He's just Moses.
All dudes.
I think there were women in there. They just had shaved heads.
I saw mostly dudes.
I mean, you see what you want to see. Yeah. I know, it just says more about you than just about the movie. So Caesar was written to be like Moses in this. And like the ending of this film, we'll talk about it more in a minute, is effectively Caesar sets off an explosion that blows up some of the base while the troops from the west or the north? A direction. The troops from the north are attacking, actually coming to finish the job of taking out the colonel's character.
Which, by the way, those guys came in hot.
They came in hot. But the explosion actually causes an avalanche, which, like Moses, wipes out both forces at once as like a wave. So convenient as they were running away. But I think the thing that I really liked about the whole plot is they came to take out the colonel, but the colonel had been infected by the simian flu and killed himself.
Yeah.
Caesar had taken the high ground. He got the gun. I really liked that. That was back to the Caesar we remember.
He was the bigger ape.
Hey, I like what you did there.
He was a bigger ape.
What did you think, like, the action in this then? Because we're sort of in that vein anyway. The action at the end, the big fight scenes.
I actually really liked the CGI with like the missiles and it was pretty cool. It's just like went on a bit long, but like overall I did like it. I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, okay.
I think it like if you'd made the first half and 3/4 of the movie shorter, and that action was the same amount, I don't think you actually would have any complaints. I just think because the movie was so long before
there was a lot of torture.
Ready. Yeah,
there was a lot of this is like a religious zealot type.
Yeah, I'm ready for this to be over. Right?
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I did like the turn of the quotation mark donkey character, the gorilla character who'd been working with the humans, and at the end he sort of he helped out Caesar so that he could exact his plan and blow up the base.
I agree, but why was that character not the same one as the white guy? They have two different ones.
So
why?
The white one let him free earlier in the movie.
No, I get it, but like just make it a different. Like they had two donkey characters with like the same arc. Like, well, not really the same arc, but like that could have been one character.
It could have easily been
to make
character.
It faster and more efficient. Like
I completely agree. And I'm not 100% sure why.
Yeah, but anyway, I did like the end. Although I was kind of like, bro, shoot and run. Like, why is you just shooting and watching and then just like gets caught in the back? Right. It's like, come on, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that Caesar does get, he gets shot by the dude with the crossbow in this, and he ends up dying at the end. I'll tell you what's funny. My partner was literally crying.
Yeah, Gail was sad
at a CGI ape.
Gail was sad too. Dude, the CGI was so good.
So,
yeah,
let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So this is the first movie of the three at any point I've been taken out of the CGI.
Really? Now, I thought it was good.
It was spectacular. Up until the point that they actually used a few practical effects. And I spotted every single one of them. And I even turned to my partner and I was like, what the fuck is that? Because it was so odd to see a real thing where the CGI had been. I was more freaked out by the real thing than the actual CGI. It sent my brain.
But when did they use it? Like, I don't even remember.
All right. So a couple of notable examples of practical effects being used in the film were animatronics and puppetry for close-up shots and some scenes requiring physical interaction with the actors. So they used a couple of puppets. And honest to God, like I think there was one of Bad Ape and I think there was one of, what was my favorite ape called? The orangutan.
Yeah. Old mate.
You know what she's
Marshall
called.
Or something.
No, Maurice. There was one of those guys, and honestly, it really, really took me out of it.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm like with CGI? The CGI was so good in this. Why bother?
Yeah.
Just keep it as it is. You're doing amazing stuff. Weta are amazing, and there were just a couple of times, and like the action scenes were spectacular. Not saying that. It was these couple of It felt like, you know, like in RoboCop when he throws the guy out the window and it's just a puppet with the big arms hanging out the sides, right? It felt like that. It was like, this is so out of place in this movie. What the fuck is that?
I didn't notice, but maybe now that you said it, I'm sure I would, but I didn't notice.
It just, so no CGI gave me Uncanny Valley. Yeah. Those puppets gave me full Uncanny Valley. I was like, my brain was like, I don't like this. But yeah, the CGI was pretty awesome. So do you have any tones and or themes for this? Caesar dies at the end. He's
like redemption. There's a bit of like, you know, revenge is like, you know, there's
revenge bad.
Justice and revenge are different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, identity is a big one in this. I feel like Caesar specifically fighting with his own feelings of wanting to be good, but also how does he do that when everyone around him has been evil? It's super interesting, but also like the apes are looking up to him, but he wants to be one of them. That type of thing I find really interesting in itself. Mm-hmm. Like he's above them in the hierarchy, but wants to be one of them. Yeah. And that stuff's super interesting. Yeah, there's a bunch of like environmental shit in there and communication. Like if, you know, the apes, if the humans would just communicate all this shit, it's like the Post-it note thing. Yeah. Like so many movies the plot of them could easily have been just sorted out with one text message or a note on the table. You know what I mean? Like if the humans just listened and went, "Oh, you're just gonna leave us alone? Cool. We haven't seen you in 10 years, so we expect that's what you're gonna do." Yeah, great. And it just is such an interesting mirror on the political landscape in the world right now. It is.
Do you think, just like hypothetically, the thinking behind Woody Harrelson's character is, yeah, sure, Caesar might, but when the next guy gets elected and it's a Koba, are we fucked? Sure. Like that I do like that concept of a moral rot topic. Like, yeah, I do. Because like you look, obviously you don't crucify apes. Like I wouldn't have made that decision, but you understand of some crazy.
Wait, you wouldn't crucify apes?
Yeah, military like dictator dude who like is like ultimate. Like we got to think about the ultimate end. Yeah, might make something and justify himself into thinking that this is the thing that
and
must
justify the means, but they really don't. I mean, that's just a common theme in a lot of these films we talk about. It's good. I think there was a lot in here that was really good to get your teeth into, like you said before. But at the same time, it was long. It was a bit bloated, and I feel like they just had a bit more budget, so they went, "Let's make it longer."
Yeah, probably
unnecessary.
Yeah, they should give like the directors like a cut of the budget they still have at the end. You know what I mean? That would actually make these movies more like efficient.
Yeah,
I actually do think so.
Big time. You say like all your bonuses are based on how much money you save at the end.
Well, just like whatever is, you get a percentage of the budget at the end as a bonus.
I like that.
Anyway.
Maybe not. I feel like a lot of people steal from movies anyway. $300 movies. Come on, mate. Who's really paying $300 for any of this?
Yeah.
What was it? Godzilla -1. I think it was less than 10 million they paid to make that movie. Okay. 3 best and 3 worst?
CGI, best.
Nice.
Caesar in conflict with himself, best.
Nice.
Emotionally trying. Like I did feel for these apes.
Nice.
Whatever they did, it emoted. Like I was empathetic.
The emotion conveyed by the CGI on those apes was amazing. I had Andy Serkis, kind of lines up with your CGI. The fact that James Franco isn't in any of them anymore, great. Love that. And I also had sort of the CGI. This was one of those plays where it sort of fits into both. The CGI was my third best, but then my first worst was those moments where they used animatronics. Like it sucked me out to the point. To the point I was barely watching. I was just thinking that how awful that looked.
Yeah.
What were your other worsts?
The story was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Now, honestly, upon review, I don't agree with this as much. I think there was a lot of nuance and complexity to how they executed the very simple plot of run away from humans capture us, we run to the promised land. Like
this was a Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
All of the goodness was baked into watching too many long scenes of people driving cars around Los Angeles, you know?
There was a lot of intelligence in the mechanisms of the very basic story, but the story was kind of basic. And then legit, like the girl, too long, too much, simplify. Those are my second and third. Like there's just enough there, like to get rid of Bad Ape, combined donkeys, cut the time of what's his name.
Bad Apes would have been one of mine, but I obviously had the animatronics. I had Caesar side quest. Like, what are we doing? Like, I wanted a war for the Planet of the Apes. Like, let's see a war. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. The idea is the war actually between the humans, but like, I wanted more from it. And then I clearly just didn't understand the geography of this world. Like, how did the apes go one way, but yet still end up in front? Like, they didn't have transport. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
No idea.
Did Caesar just go completely the wrong way for like 2 months? What's happening?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was a bit frustrated by the movie in that respect.
Yeah, I feel like a couple simple changes would have fixed that for you.
Right?
Which is like funny.
Simple stuff.
I actually would have liked to see like Woody Harrelson like sit across the table with the other guy in like a negotiation where Caesar is watching.
What other guy?
Like the other military commander. So you start to, and he's like seeing that maybe that's how you reveal the plot twist. Like it doesn't have to be revealed earlier, but I think adding an element to like why the humans are conflicting and how they're both have like legitimate takes that you might agree with, but can't agree, and they fight, and Caesar seeing that and learning from it or something.
That's
like,
very interesting. I like
something like that. Or rather than us just like hearing from him.
Why don't we make movies too? We'd be way good at this. Talk to me then. We're talking about critical reception. What do you think the IMDb was out of 10?
7.8.
Oh, it's 7.4.
Yeah.
Too bad there.
Actually, that's more like what it should be. Actually,
I'm in line with that. Can you guess me the Rotten Tomatoes percentage?
84.
94.
94.
People really like this movie.
Yeah.
So, okay, finally, Letterboxd, which is
3.5.
always 3.6.
3.5.
3.7. I would have guessed from Rotten Tomatoes that people really like this. Like, I'd have gone higher. I'd have probably gone 3.9 or 4, just because of that. That's 94%. Insane.
It's the best of all of them, isn't it?
And the real critical reception that actually matters, the one that really matters is our critical reception. And what we do is we don't give it a percentage. We don't give it 5 stars out of 6. What we do is we say, is this movie better or worse than the most average movie we know, and why? It is Aquaman 2018.
Yes, it is better.
Lots of parallels, though, still
many parallels.
Lots of
apes,
CGI animals.
Lots of CGI. Not as much snow in Aquaman. Quite a lot of snow in this. Why didn't they go somewhere warm? You know what I mean? I guess maybe the flu spreads.
Maybe.
That's probably.
Maybe it was just winter.
Yeah. Winter doesn't look like that here. Anyway.
I liked it. I thought it was definitely better than Aquaman. I had a great time with this. I'm so excited for the next one, which is coming very, very soon. DL, we've run out of time. Thank you all for sticking with it. We really do appreciate you. Do you want to quickly wrap up the show? Where can they find us?
They can find us at thepodcastassemble@gmail.com or podcastassemble on Instagram. Pass the pod. 5 stars, please. Thank you.
5 stars, baby. We love you. Later, skaters.
Later.